Hello, hello, hello. I'm Eddie Obeng, and this is How. Daily, I bring you a different people engagement tool for getting stuff done. Today, I want to bring you one which is going to help you in your conversations. It's called MindTap. So let's jump onto Cube and let's see what we can find. So I'll walk you through that. So this is Cube. This is a cubicle we put together called the Workshop Generator. It's used for super users. So when you want to run Cube yourself, this allows you to create your own workshops from the traditional sessions, teaching, and keynotes. So over here, for example, it says add, and it asks you to add onto this board the stuff you're planning to do. And it starts with a joke. It says, what happens if you give a car to a chicken farmer? And the answer is they'll turn it into a chicken coop. So the fact you're on Cube doesn't necessarily mean you're going to instantly be able to apply it. You have to actually stop being a chicken farmer and do it a different way. As you work your way around the room, you'll find there's a review page where it tells you how to start rebuilding all your presentations. We use something called the example point rule and so on. And then it walks you around. It gives you tools, techniques, but we're here for MindTap. So let's jump onto MindTap and see what we've got. So where's MindTap? MindTap, there we go. I set up a page. So let's have a look. So this is supposed to be easy. Two people having a conversation. The downsides are, as you can see, they're both speaking at the same time. And even if they're not speaking at the same time, has it ever happened to you that when the other person is speaking out loud, you're answering them in your head? In other words, you're speaking, but in your head, just not out loud. You're busy working out your answer almost before they finish their initial sentence. So this is quite a difficult thing to manage. I know it looks easy, but it's quite hard to manage. And there are a number of other things which make conversations even extra difficult. So one of them is this. This is a lovely different visual illustration. You can see the square marked A, and hopefully you can see the square marked B. And they look like they're different colors. But bad news for you, they're exactly the same color. Okay, they're exactly the same color. And what's happened there is, I'll leave it so you can see it. What happened there is, because you saw the shadow, your brain has interpreted it. So the context made you think that the B was lighter when it's actually a darker shade. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what happens. Then there's other things like what the group said. There's a lovely little exercise you do where you have a group of people and you say, you phrase it like this. Most people would see the red circle as bigger than the blue circle. In fact, I should have done it before I showed it to you. We see the red circle as bigger than the blue circle, but a few people will see it as exactly the same. You know, it's more normal to see the red one as slightly bigger than the blue. Who in the room sees the red circle bigger than the blue circle? And all the hands go up because you set them to say that they're crazy if they. And so also what's going on here is people aren't just speaking. It's not just about the words. It's about saving face, status, position. Then, of course, there's the wonderful red can conundrum, where as you're speaking to somebody, instead of dealing with what's there, you're dealing with what you imagine should be there. And the red can conundrum is always quite amusing because it's this red Coke can, and you ask people what color is their can, and they always say red. And then you say, what color is the can? And they say red, and they keep saying red until you get rid of all these aspects which are Coke related. Then they see that it's just blue and white and black. And there's no red there at all. And they don't believe you. So you have to build it back up. And once you build it back up, the moment they see things which they recognize as Coke, suddenly, all of a sudden, this becomes red again. Because they're remembering what should be there, not looking at what's actually there. So that's another lovely thing to get in the way of your conversations. And then there's just the difficulty of seeing reality. So this is an image where this person has drawn on the card in light pencil, and then drawn on the card in dark pencil, but it looks like there's a ladder going over the toy car. There isn't. It's just, that's why the car goes over the ladder, not underneath it. It's just an illusion. So that getting your head around things is difficult. So that's why we invented MindTap. MindTap helps you work through 5 things which people struggle through. First question, how many voices can you listen to at once in your head? Well, if it's music, you can listen to lots of them. If it's a conversation, you can listen to one. I'm a trained educator. I can listen to about 3 because I can be talking to somebody and listening to what they're doing in the exercise over here and paying attention to that person who's making a fuss over there. So if you're trained, maybe 3, but most people can do 1. So listen, don't start planning your next sentence while they're speaking. If you have an idea, write it down or count it on your fingertips. So when I'm being interviewed, sometimes I want to say things, and if the camera, I know the camera's on my hands, I'll be doing 1, 2, just to remind myself I've got 3 things to say. One is about the cost of it, the second is about delivering, and I'll be doing that so I know. So when I say, well, I've got 3 things to say about it, one is about the cost, and I'm pulling out my thumb, and I'm doing that to work my way through. The second one is making sure that you don't look foolish whilst you actually get more information. Probe them. If it doesn't make sense, ask them. The most famous and my best favorite sentence is, tell me more why you say that. Tell me more. Help me understand better. And if you do that, it's quite an easy, safe way of doing it without saying, I'm so stupid, I can't understand you. Okay. Then there's the story of the 2 men on the train. 2 men on the train, they stuck there for 3 hours. One's very clever, one's very stupid. They're talking all the time. Who learns more? Well, you might say the clever person because they can learn from anything. Or you might say the stupid person because they have so much to learn from the clever person. Or you might say both of them because one's stupid, one's clever, they're both learning. Or you might say whoever does more effective listening and reflection. And so reflect. Chances are the way they see the world is different from the way you see the world, which is why it's not going in straight away. So try and find out what they're actually saying. And then from All Change, the story about the book All Change, my book All Change, bestseller, communication is a 2-way trip. It's a round trip. It's not one way. So always the pet playback, you'd have come across that in my work by now, I'm sure, which lets you do that. And then now you're ready to respond. So that's what MindTap is doing. It's giving you the process along the top here. If you want to practice secretly, next conversation you have, when you finish the conversation, come and see whether you did these 5 things and write down, what did they actually say? So I had one recently where a client was telling the prospect was telling me something about senior leadership team. I wasn't really paying attention, but they said, leadership. And then what I discovered was they've got brilliant engineers running strategy and managing people. Okay. And I think what they meant is we need some pragmatic solutions which people use because we're finding it difficult to get through to our people. I think what they actually meant was, can you help us get it without us getting more in a twist, because our people have already, our SLT have already sort of upset the people by putting too much work on them. And so I've decided my response will be, let's have a look at what you're trying to do. Let's do it here to there. Where would you like to be? And then sticky steps to break it down so they can see I can get them there without getting them into a twist. So this is my reflection. But while you're in the event, just listen, probe, reflect, hear what they're saying, and then respond. So that's me. I've been Eddie Obeng. That's MindTap. Always subscribe if you haven't. Always get hold of the newsletter on LinkedIn if you haven't. There's a quick guide for every single people engagement pet that I have, so you can read more. Go and do it. Go and have better conversations. Bye.